We are synced up.
Synchronated.
Synchronized.
So, television shows, huh?
Oh, yeah, television shows.
Aren't they wonderful? Just every single one of them. Just
Every
wonderful.
single television show ever is a work of art.
Not just art, but like, we need a word that combines God with art. How about
Godart?
MacGyver?
MacGyver works too. Let's go with MacGyver. But how much are we going to go with MacGyver?
Well, you've apparently seen 2 episodes.
Yes, I have seen 2 episodes. If we're not counting any of the television show that ran in the 80s, I have seen 2 episodes of MacGyver.
Well, clearly they're completely different shows, as you've stated.
Oh, they're so different. So different.
Yeah.
And it physically pains me to have to do this. It physically pains me even more to have to say this.
Yeah?
But the new episodes of MacGyver are probably the worst television show I can think of just off the top of my head. Part of that may be because the original MacGyver is my favorite show of all time, right up until about 2004 when they made that A&E Nero Wolfe series.
Which is the best television show that's ever been.
Yeah, nothing has ever been better recorded in the history of mankind.
At least on television. There are better things.
There's better things. There's the better thing. There's the thing that is better than all. It's the best
that's not
thing.
what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about MacGyver.
Yeah, we're here to talk about MacGyver. We are... All right, so here's how it happened.
Well, okay, so let's just back up for a second. I saw a decent amount, not a huge amount, but I saw maybe 10 or 15 episodes of it when I was a kid. Probably a little more than that. I wasn't like a really big fan of it, but I remember it fondly. You said that you just recently watched some of the old episodes again, and they seem to have aged fairly well, except for the mullet.
Yeah, except for the looks of the show, there's a bit of lameness to the dialogue, but apart from that, the show has aged incredibly well. And, it's... Okay, so there's probably anyone that's 10 years younger than us doesn't really know anything about MacGyver. That's very likely.
They've probably seen the occasional meme,
yeah,
right?
Which doesn't do it
justice. And they've
justice
probably heard
because,
the theme song.
MacGyver kind of became this thing where it's like, oh yeah, he's a guy that can make a bomb out of a paperclip and some chewing gum, and
Mr. Rogers or Chuck Norris.
Yeah, and there was so much more to MacGyver than that. I mean, the show was...
it's not that there was necessarily a lot more to it, but that it was better done than that.
Yeah, it was much better done than that. Like, there was... I mean, some of the things he did here and there were a bit silly, but for the most part, the things that he did in the show to solve problems made enough sense that it made for a good show.
And the problems were not, like, little piddling things, like I need to make a bomb out of bubblegum and a paperclip. They were...
Yeah. Although he did make a lot of bombs. But apart from
that's true, but that's...
he defused a lot of bombs, too, in really weird ways.
Yeah.
There was an episode where it was like he was staring at a bomb for 2 minutes, like no idea how he's going to defuse this bomb. Then finally he's like, well, wait, there's just 2 contacts there. And he takes a slip of paper and puts the paper between the 2 contacts so that when it closes, it just closes over the paper and doesn't blow the bomb up. But he's like messing around with it like he's going to do something really smart, and then he's just like, you know what, this'll work fine. So
that'll do.
That's the kind of guy MacGyver was. The whole basis of MacGyver was, I mean, in the first episode, they set it up incredibly well. They're just like, well, I just don't carry a lot of stuff. I just improvise. I tend to find what I need along the way. And
yeah. And I mean, putting the paper in between the contacts of a ticking time bomb is a clever... I mean, like, it implies that the bomb maker was not particularly clever, but it shows that MacGyver is clever, like, actually smart.
Yeah, he's resourceful in a pinch, and it's kind of... So, it's...
Now, this is the old show we're talking about.
Yeah, this is the old show. The old show is basically America's Doctor Who. Most people that know of both MacGyver and Doctor Who would likely tell you that, yes, MacGyver was America's answer to Doctor Who. And that's probably... in the literal sense, because there's a lot of things in MacGyver that are shout-outs to Doctor Who, and Terry Nation,
Really?
the guy that created the Daleks, he wrote 3 episodes of MacGyver, and my favorite bit of trivia about MacGyver and Doctor Who is that there's actually a Dalek episode of MacGyver.
Really?
Yeah, they're not actual Daleks, but they may as well be. So if you ever see an episode called The Human Factor, which is probably my favorite episode ever, because it was like this big deal when I saw it. It was, there were... it was the first episode of the 2nd season. And I'd seen a lot of the first season by that time as a kid. And so I sat down to watch this, and he was just doing so many things from start to finish in this episode. He had to break into a mountain fortress. That was his job. Because he's kind of like a... He's kind of like a freelance spy. He works a lot for a certain Phoenix Foundation, but in the show he's really a freelancer, more or less.
Okay.
And so he takes the jobs he wants, and forget about the ones he doesn't. So a lot of the show is people basically convincing him to take on jobs.
Right.
But it is a spy show, and he is a spy. But it plays out so much like Doctor Who. There's no question that that's where the inspiration came from, because he kind of just shows up in trouble areas and sticks around to help solve the problems. He's really more of a pacifist than anything. He doesn't like guns. He uses his head to solve problems instead of brute force most of the time. But because it's an American show, and because Richard Dean Anderson is probably the best Doctor, He does have his moments where he has to get into a fist fight here or there, or he's in a car chase or a boat chase. Most of the time, it ends up with him escaping by doing something clever with some tools that are just lying around in a vehicle.
Right.
But the show is really good. Like, even today, watching
the old one.
Watching the original MacGyver is a really, really good show.
All right, so let's shift gears.
Yeah, so let's shift gears. 20, 30 years later,
they decided to reboot MacGyver.
Yeah.
Now, who's playing MacGyver? Is it anyone that I would recognize, or is it just some no one?
It's no one that I've heard of. I'm sure that, it's like faces in a crowd at this point with modern American television. But it's a guy named Lucas Till.
Okay.
And they kind of went for the whole youthful... what's the word I'm looking for? He's a young blonde white dude.
Okay.
And... they kind of tried to make him have that MacGyver look without actually giving him the mullet. So he's got longer hair. I want to believe that the people that made the show had never heard of MacGyver outside of memes, but I can't believe that's the case, because there's a lot in there that, on reflection, I realized, I didn't even know that. Such as, the show starts out with MacGyver working for an organization called the DSX, or the DXS. And I thought that they made that up until just yesterday, in fact. I was watching an episode of the old MacGyver. The first one where he runs into his best friend in the show is Pete Thornton, the guy that runs the Phoenix Foundation.
Yeah.
And they did a flashback episode. It was the first time. I had to go back and watch it because it was the first time they met MacGyver's arch nemesis, Murdoch, who is basically the master from Doctor Who. He's always disguising himself and setting up these elaborate ways to kill people. He's always escaping death by a hair. So the first episode he appears in, they're actually doing a flashback of when MacGyver first met Pete Thornton. And Pete Thornton at that time works for the DXS. And so later on, they both end up working together at the Phoenix Foundation.
Right.
So the first episode of this new MacGyver is the DXS, a bunch of crap happens, and then they decide to turn it into the Phoenix Foundation. We'll get back to that soon enough.
Yeah.
But let's talk about what they've done with the new MacGyver. So, I'm going to have to open up this little Facebook thread that I created while I was watching it. The show was so bad. Let's just get it out there right now. The show was so bad that I opened up Facebook and just started typing and commenting on a single thread that I'd made and pausing the show every time something ridiculous happened. And it looks like we have 42 comments I made.
So these are like 2-hour episodes then, right?
No, these are standard television 46, 47-minute episodes.
Okay.
So I need this open just to remember some of the stuff that happened, because the show is so bland that it's...
So that's about one every minute, is what you're saying. On average.
God, you're right. Oh, good God. I didn't even think of that. All right, so let's just start with where it began. He solves like two things immediately using the most television trope solutions you can possibly imagine. First was a fingerprint scanner, and he just took some talcum powder or something, and no, it wasn't even that clever. It wasn't even like he had he got something that was easily available where he was. No, he had to file stuff off. No, he pulled soot out of a muffler, which no modern car has soot on its muffler these days. So I don't know.
Not any significant amount. No.
Yeah, the show is supposed to be a modern show, and it's at this really fancy, rich person party, millionaires and billionaires, and he's scraping soot out of the back of like a Lamborghini.
Yeah, pretty sure there's not a lot of soot on those.
I mean, it could have only been better if it was a Tesla. and he carries
some
this
soot
around.
off the muffler on your Leaf.
Yeah. So he carries this stuff around in like a fold in his pocket until he gets to the safe he's supposed to break in. Oh, by the way, he's working with a team right from the get-go.
Oh.
Just like the original MacGyver always was doing.
That sounds not true.
That's totally not true. MacGyver was always in a situation by himself.
Generally, that's how I remember it, yeah.
There were times other people were with him, but he was doing everything, and it was his show, and don't get in his way.
At least him working with a team means that there's opportunities for lots of really great dialogue, right?
Wait, did you mean that?
That sounds like a not good answer to my question.
The dialogue is... Is there a stronger word than atrocious?
Insipid?
Insipid might be the right word. So you know how MacGyver always did those voiceovers?
A little.
In the original MacGyver, when he was... Not just when he was like building something crazy or solving a problem in some weird way, but also when he was like talking about other people in the show. He would do a lot of voiceovers to talk about what he was thinking or give
like
you an idea.
Narration style?
Yeah, narration style.
Okay, fine.
And he would do things like he'd say things like, "When I was a boy, so and so and so," and this new MacGyver is like.
Tell me that he dubs over everyone else's speech.
No, it's not a good show. That would make it a good show. No, he's very smug. Like, I think the first narration he gives is about how he went to MIT and got 2 degrees and all this other stuff, and how he can solve all these problems. And it's like exposition that you don't need. Whereas the very first episode of the original MacGyver starts off with MacGyver hanging off of the side of a cliff and saying, "When I was a boy, my grandfather bought a horse, and all I could think about was riding that horse." Or it was something like that. Like his neighbor had bought a horse, and he was telling a story about how he really wanted to ride that horse, and he'd made up his mind to do it. And this is while he's climbing the side of a cliff, and he's trying to recover something from an airplane that had crashed and rescue a pilot. And there's all these soldiers around, and he's sneaking around after he gets to the top of this cliff, sneaking up to the plane and everything, and he's describing a situation where he's on his neighbor's property trying to get close to the horse, and how much more afraid he became as he got close to the horse.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is just supposed to be a simile for the situation he's in at that moment.
Sure.
Nothing clever like that from this new MacGyver. He's explaining to people that have been watching American television for decades that that he's using powder to capture a fingerprint, as if anyone that's watching a crime show is not going to know what he's talking about. And he's going to try and simulate this fingerprint. And, God, he did something else that was another, like, every person in cop show land knows this. This isn't clever. Well, like, the first 10 things he did in this episode were not clever. But it wasn't just that. This MacGyver is so condescending. Not just the character, but the show itself is so condescending to the viewers that they decided that they would, when he's doing his MacGyver thing, which they're not good at it. There's nothing. He didn't do a single clever thing this entire time, entire episode. They decided to have like scenes of him reaching and grabbing for things and words popping up telling you what these things were. But it's all information you do not need. Horrible. Like stud finder. Now you would think maybe there's people out there, they're not carpenters or anything. They don't know what it is and what he's grabbing, so it's like, okay, yeah, let them know it's a stud finder, right? You would think that, right?
Well, usually you would show him using it and have him say, here's a structural support or something like that.
That's just the thing. Even if you do not know what a stud finder is, in the scene that they did this, all he was doing was getting a coil out of the stud finder to build something else.
Oh.
So you didn't need to know that it was a stud finder. And then they don't tell you what the thing is that he's taking out and what he's doing with it.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Yeah. And I thought that was just the most condescending thing until later in the episode. It sounds like
MacGyver / Blue's Clues.
That's a very good description. And I'm glad you cut me off and said that before I tell you what I'm about to tell you, because I don't know how to react to this. Later in the episode, he's climbing on the... there's a plane taking off, and he jumps on the plane because they want to make this like cool and actiony, as if the original MacGyver wasn't 10 times more full of action than this train wreck. But anyway,
train wrecks are actiony.
Anyway, he's holding onto a landing gear, and he's going to try and keep this plane from taking off. He looks up into the compartment, and there's wires running, over the wheel, and it actually says electronics. Like,
what?
Big letters, it says electronics as he's looking at these wires. And then he looks over at a hydraulic valve, and it says hydraulics.
But are these in, like... These are the signs that, like, appear in the air for the viewer?
Yes.
They're not, like, signs on the thing.
No, these are signs that like words, like computer graphics that pop up and say electronics. So that the viewer knows that MacGyver is looking at electronics, because you're not going to be able to figure out, if he just starts reaching for things and fiddling with them, that he's manipulating electronics and hydraulics. You'll never be able to figure that out just by watching.
No, that would require narrative skill.
Like, is there a type of person that has this trouble? Like I've heard of people that would rather watch TV than read, because reading is quote unquote hard. Is there the reverse of that? Is there like someone who's... I mean, okay, I guess I can see that TV is so terrible now that you'd rather read a book, but I mean, why do I need to see the word electronics there? How is this helping? Because if you don't if you don't know what he's looking at, you don't have a television.
Well, you might have never seen electronics before.
If you're watching on a television, you've seen electronics. You had to plug it in.
No, it doesn't have any wires
universal.
anymore. No, it's all wireless now. 4G.
You still got to plug in the...
No, it's all battery powered now, and then you just throw it away.
It's so
you plug it into your... You have it wirelessly charged from the battery of your Leaf with soot.
Yeah, so the first time he builds a bomb, he kills 3 possibly innocent security guards during a boat chase. A crappy boat chase.
No, hold on a minute. No, stop. Didn't the original MacGyver have a thing about not killing people?
Yeah, he had a pretty big thing about it. I mean, it happened, but it was like never deliberate. In this case, he was in a boat chase, and he built a bomb on a boat, and they abandoned the boat after turning it around and to get it to ram into the people following them. So he deliberately killed these 3 people.
And they were evil, right?
I mean, they were chasing him and shooting at him, but they were security guards, and he was robbing the place. So there's not like any direct correlation to them being evil so much as protecting property.
As employed as security guards.
Yeah. So this MacGyver isn't down that road.
Great. You know what I always thought that those, I always thought the MacGyver needed more gratuitous violence. That's something it definitely could have used.
Well, I mean, the original MacGyver did have like there was an episode where
No, I know that there was violence in the original MacGyver, but like I don't recall ever seeing MacGyver just like being like, "Oh, you guys are chasing me? Oh, screw them! I'm gonna blow them up."
Yeah, no, that didn't really happen.
I don't recall that. I may be wrong.
There was some funny violence in the original. There was an episode where a woman was trying to blow up the Phoenix Foundation, and she got into a martial arts fight with MacGyver, and she's kicking his butt. And she goes to do a flying kick at him, and he ducks out of the way, and she crashes through a window and falls like 8 stories to her death.
Jesus.
And he just sort of looks out the window with that, well, couldn't do anything about that look on his face, and then he walks away. But yeah, hold on to your horses, because you are in for a trip.
You're mixing metaphors again.
Yeah, we're mixing metaphors a lot here. I can't help it. This show really like hurt to watch. Like not just physically, Like it hurt me as a person. It hurt my mortal coil to know that they could do this.
Did you get your mortal coil out of a living stud finder?
I may have done that. Or a
good.
Tesla.
A Tesla. Well, no, you get the soot from the Tesla.
Yeah. Right.
That's important.
Metaphorical soot, or I don't know.
Both at the same time.
I really hate this show.
I mean it.
No, this struck a nerve. Okay, so first off, he's on a team, right? And they immediately introduce his partner on the team as Jack Dalton, who's a character from the original MacGyver.
Oh, please tell me that his name shows up with computer graphics.
I don't remember. It might have. I'll have to update you on that.
Like I just imagine MacGyver like looking at everything. He's like, Jack Dalton. I could make jerky out of him.
He's just a robot. But in this show, like in the original show, Jack Dalton was kind of like a drifter who was good friends with MacGyver, and they were always getting into trouble, and MacGyver always had to help like bail him out. But he was like a really fun guy, and MacGyver just couldn't. He's like, it'd be like kicking a child if I didn't help him. So
yeah.
Now in this show, Jack Dalton is Spec Ops, and you remember how you once told me that Doctor Who isn't a pacifist; he's a passivist.
Yes.
He has other people do the shooting for him.
Yeah.
Jack Dalton is MacGyver's gun.
What?
So if MacGyver's in trouble, and he's trying to do something, and people are closing in on him, good old Jack Dalton is there with a sniper rifle to pick them off, one by one.
That sounds not correct.
Yeah, that's... Well, I mean, I don't think you could get any further from the show than that.
I mean,
Or at least I didn't think you could. I didn't think you could.
There's worse?
Well, one of their teammates dies early in the first episode, and this is to the chagrin of MacGyver, who ends up getting shot trying to catch her as she falls off of a wall.
Okay.
Now, at that point, you get another wonderful narration where MacGyver says, "I know what you're thinking. If this guy's the hero, it's not looking good." And all I could think at that point was, well, I was... That was kind of doing my job for me there, thank you. That's what I was thinking, yes. Maybe not for the same reasons, but...
Yes, we're thinking the same things, but for different reasons.
So, now MacGyver's this brooding, like, attachment issue... What's the word? There's a word for this. Jackstaff. He becomes this brooding idiot that suddenly can't do his job properly because every time he tries to, he's thinking about this woman that was on his team that got killed.
So here's a question for you. Did they do a really good job of introducing this woman character, or did she just, like, appear and then die, and, like...
This show is a cookie-cutter crime drama show, and these are all cookie-cutter characters, including MacGyver.
Uh-huh. I'm just wondering, because it seems like... I mean, like, generally, if you want to have sympathy for a character, you have to be able to, like, if we don't know who this girl that died is, then how can we feel? I guess
they did one flashback where it showed her and MacGyver kissing, and he impressed her by showing her that he can pick locks on handcuffs.
What? That sounds really weird.
Weird? I mean, it could be weird. It's just straight up bad, though. I mean,
well, bad, yes. Also weird.
Yeah. No, there's not a lot going on in the head of the person that wrote this episode. Except MacGyver memes, and not, MacGyver memes and a, like, binge viewing of every crime show that's come out in the past 5 years. They're seriously all the same. I know you don't watch television at all. I've tried to watch, like, 4 different shows. Every single crime show is the exact same show.
Well, what do you mean by crime shows?
So...
Give me a few examples of what you've called crime shows that you think are all the same.
Person of Interest is one.
Okay.
Let's see, what was the name of the other one? Continuum was another.
Okay.
Gotham is another.
Oh.
If I had to say that one stood out a little bit above the rest of them, I'd give it to Gotham, but I still can't really say it's all that great of a show.
Uh-huh.
It's one of them things where it's like, everything else about the show sucks, but they do a good job with the bad guys' characters, so I gotta give it props there.
Okay.
But they're all shows where there's like the episode itself is devoted to one thing, but they drop a bunch of hints about this longer running story during each episode.
I see.
And there's times at which the episodes are more interesting, depending on which show it is. Either the episodes are more interesting or the background story is more interesting. And so you never truly enjoy anything because you always want something other than what they're giving you.
I see.
And usually what happens in the ones where the long-running story is the better, you get to the end of it and they sum everything up really, really quickly in one episode, and it just leaves you empty inside. Like, the payoff just wasn't there.
Uh-huh.
Which is why I can't really watch anymore. Person of Interest was the last one I'm going to be able to do. I can't handle it. I have tried to watch American television in the past 10 years, and it's just not working out. And then they gave me MacGyver, so we've...
It's like a big old fuck you cherry on top of that cake.
Thanks for that. Do I love it? Well, gotta kill it.
Well, that's the trend of the world, we know.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that yet, have we?
I think it's probably been mentioned as an aside a few times.
Yeah, I think so. Anyway, getting back to MacGyver. So MacGyver is that kind of show. So there's this long-running story where this person that he was in love with in this first episode ends up... It turns out she didn't actually die, and there's this whole other thing going on, and she's one of the bad guys. And
God, it's one of those?
Yeah. So, crap that didn't happen in the original MacGyver, because people that wrote television shows used to be able to just write in anything that was, like, underlying to the story to bring back later on in an episode without actually drawing away from the episodes themselves. People can't do that anymore. They're terrible at it.
I guess not.
Murdoch was a long-running character in the MacGyver series, but it was never a long-running story of, like, every episode was hinting that Murdoch was somewhere lurking around, and then they get to an episode, like a season finale, where he shows up and, something happens. They didn't do that crap.
So what you're saying is that the old MacGyver was better than Doctor Who?
No, the old MacGyver was better than Doctor Who. I say this as someone who liked the old Doctor Who show and kind of liked the new one.
I'm just making fun of Doctor Who doing exactly what you just described.
Yes. Again, though, that was the original... The original Doctor Who didn't do that either.
I guess that's true, yeah.
The original Doctor Who was a lot more like MacGyver. There were these long-running characters that you would run into, but they didn't dominate,
the narrative.
when something else was going on.
Right.
So yeah, you can liken this to the new Doctor Who a lot, in the sense that it's not as fun or good.
Well, the new Doctor Who is reasonably good.
Yeah, the new Doctor Who is much better written than this. This is seriously, I'm not joking. Like, it's not just because MacGyver was my favorite show. This is seriously one of the worst shows I've ever seen.
Huh.
There's nothing that MacGyver is doing or saying at any point that makes you feel like he's any real kind of hero. He's just some schmuck working with a team of other schmucks. Some of which...
He's a schmuck among schmucks.
Yeah, some of whom seem a lot smarter than he is.
Well, that's likely.
So, the original MacGyver theme song was very memorable to anyone that watched it. And even people that didn't, that saw the memes, they'd probably recognize the theme song in an instant. The new MacGyver theme song has about the first 3 seconds of the original in it, and then it's got about 20 more seconds, if that, of cookie-cutter crime drama theme music, which you could put next to any other theme music for a crime show on the planet, and you wouldn't be able to pick it out. And, the original MacGyver theme, I think, ran a little over a minute, or maybe a little under. This was 18 seconds or something.
Jeez.
Like, basically every television show does that now, though. It's either, like, someone talking over a little bit of music and explaining what the show is, or it's just a couple of seconds of a little ditty because it costs too much to hire people to write music these days.
Somehow.
So... there's that. The theme song is just totally destroyed, but they pretend they're paying homage by giving you...
They don't know what... If your idea of homage is to steal the first 3 seconds of a piece of music and then make an unrelated piece of music that comes after that, I don't believe you know what the word homage means.
It doesn't even flow into the new song at all.
I mean...
It's like someone seriously just had a song and they took 3 seconds of MacGyver's original theme and tacked it on the front of it in Audacity.
I mean, you could do that, but it would be called a techno remix.
Yeah, no, and it's not even like a mix of the original theme song.
I get it.
It's seriously just 3 seconds of the original theme and then something totally different.
And something else.
Nothing mixed in anywhere at all.
Right.
So, the first episode was titled The Rising, and they all had really bad names like that. I looked ahead because I was looking to see if Murdoch shows up in the new one, which he does, and I watched that episode too. But the names of the episodes were all things like Screwdriver, Corkscrew, just tools, and then it would be something that he ends up using in the episode. So, bad marketing. Very bad.
I could see that kind of thing could be pulled off, but it would have to be done carefully. And it sounds like they didn't do it carefully.
No, they don't. And it's ridiculous because if you compare the descriptions... I watched them on Amazon. So if you compared the descriptions of the original MacGyver on Amazon with the new MacGyver, it's ridiculous. Like they're telling you what's happening in the old one, and in the new one it's like, MacGyver has to stop a bomb with a screwdriver and a wire. Guess who just showed up?
Who?
Brandon.
Hey, Brandon.
Brandon, what you think about the new MacGyver?
I haven't watched it, but it sounds like it's a great show. 8 out of 10 minimum.
At least an 8 out of 10.
What is this, IGN? That's a terrible score.
Oh, well, he can't hear you, so, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry, Brandon.
You're screwed. We're taking over the show.
You need to narrate
now.
everything to him.
Yeah. You know what, Rudy, you're done. Brandon, you're in.
I'm the good Rudy.
Pull up a chair. I
Rudy
think there's
squared.
one somewhere. Let's see. So the original MacGyver had a guy that was educated, had a physics degree or something, and he just decided he didn't want to do that and solving problems. Now this MacGyver had 2 degrees from MIT, which is the place to be these days because Neil deGrasse idiot is somehow a real person. He doesn't look like a real person, but whatever. This MacGyver actually wears an MIT shirt.
What?
Like I said, it's the most condescending show I've ever seen.
I've been to MIT. People at MIT don't wear MIT shirts.
Yeah, no, they don't.
At least not those in the STEM fields. They wear like knockoff shirts from Newport Optics or Thor Labs
Okay, so I have
because they were free. They were free with a bunch of mirrors.
Oh, hang on. Brandon has a question.
All right, so does at least the Swiss Army knife have a property of MIT or whatever university?
No, he actually does use the Swiss Army knife occasionally, badly. I think in the first episode he used it once to cut open the roof of a car that he jumped on top of.
I assume a convertible.
Well, it was a canopy of a military transport truck.
Oh, okay.
I didn't
Thank
feel
God.
like describing it any more than the show deserved. He's got a fun black friend that's his roommate.
Oh boy.
Yes, now get this. So we've got an old white spec ops dude on his team. We've got
who is MacGyver's gun?
Yeah. We've got a young minority woman as their quote unquote hacker. And then we have MacGyver, good old white MacGyver, and these are all trained, intelligent people. And then they go back to this guy. He goes home, and this guy has no idea that MacGyver's a spy, and he's just MacGyver's black guy in his kitchen cooking him food. He doesn't even have a full name. They call him Bozer.
What?
And the first thing that he's cooking in the first episode for MacGyver when MacGyver walks in is waffles.
Well, we all know that MacGyver is a big fan of waffles.
That's a Fraggle name.
He's apparently trying to film movies or something, and he's trying to get MacGyver to play get this. He's trying to get MacGyver to play a Chinese spy for him. This guy looks.
What?
This isn't like some we're having a minority guy playing MacGyver thing either. It's a white dude, a blonde white dude, and he's like, can you play a Chinese dude in my homemade film?
Well, does he mean like a Chinese dude or a dude that was kidnapped by the Chinese as a child and trained as a spy?
He specifically says he wants him to be the Chinese bad guy named Wang, and then he says, "Do me a solid, give me Wang."
What? Was there a laugh track?
No. But there's like 3 dick jokes in the first episode of this new MacGyver, and I
remember a lot of dick jokes in the original MacGyver. Is my memory failing me?
Your memory is totally failing you. There wasn't a single dick joke in the original MacGyver. There was lots of casual or implied sex. Not on screen, but yeah. So,
great.
Do me a solid.
Give me Wang. Did he wink? Tell me he winked.
He did not wink. No, he's like the Chris Tucker of the show.
Well, Chris Tucker's good.
And more educated than this guy.
Probably. Well, I mean, let's not jump to conclusions.
No. The whole point of this character was that he had some talents, but he was basically completely uneducated and working in MacGyver's kitchen, and he cooked food every time MacGyver's white friends came over for his white friends.
Cooked waffles.
Sometimes waffles, sometimes duck à l'orange, and yet this guy is like working in a crappy kitchen somewhere, but he's cooking duck à l'orange every day.
Maybe he just means cheap duck from a frozen thing in the grocery store and then orange juice.
They imply that he can actually cook, so there's that.
Okay.
Oh, the show was produced by Craig O'Neill, you know, the guy that just like kills anyone that isn't making a crime drama at that moment.
I don't know who Craig O'Neill is.
He makes a lot of crime dramas. He produces a lot of them.
Okay. Produces them. I see.
I'm crying so much inside.
Well, I mean, it sounds like this show was deliberately engineered to ruin another one of your childhood memories.
Yeah, and then MacGyver runs around assembling the Avengers for his new team in the first episode.
Wait, what?
Oh, and his Spec Ops partner is a womanizer.
Well, that's a fairly common trope. I'm not going to necessarily blame them for that.
No, I'm just saying it's okay. So it's kind of funny, like the same entertainment industry that's trying to shove the idea down my throat that women are over-sexualized in show business replaces the fat middle-aged Pete Thornton with Sandrine Holt as Patricia Thornton in the new show.
I don't know who Sandrine Holt is.
She's basically not old, fat, and a dude, and white.
Oh, okay.
Well, she's white, so there's that. She's got that going for her, I guess.
Going for her. And she becomes what? The new MacGyver's new gun?
Boss. She's the boss.
Boss.
She runs the
She's
Phoenix
new
Foundation.
Boss. Okay. Is she competent?
I guess. I don't think anyone's competent in this show. They don't do anything that's competent.
That's well. Didn't he like?
He picks 2 sets of handcuffs in this episode, just in case you didn't catch it the first time.
You know, I've seen the keys that go into handcuffs. They're not particularly complicated locks.
Yeah, no, he doesn't do anything smart. Then they've got a tech analyst that's trying to look at a computer that the woman that pretended to be killed had left behind. They're trying to figure out who she is and what she's doing. And this tech guy is just like, I've never seen encryption like this before.
What? What is that?
And then this tech analyst that joined their team that they found just like smashes open the computer and takes out the hard drive and goes, we'll go around the encryption.
That's not how... What? You're joking,
I'm
right?
not joking. This is the dumbest show I have ever seen.
No, that's not how encryption works.
Oh, and everyone starts keeping secrets from each other in the show, too, because you can't have a modern show without that happening anymore.
Well, we need more teen drama bullshit.
Yes, you do. You need lots of drama.
Go around the encrypt. No, I can't let this go that easily. That the whole point of what were they calling? What were they saying? I can't. I need to stop for a second. So the computer was encrypted, and the guy smashes open the computer case, pulls out the hard drive, and says we'll go around the encryption. Do I have this right?
Well, the guy that was looking at the computer said that he'd never seen this encryption before. So apparently it was some kind of like super encryption that, you know.
That's fine, but like,
but
what was encrypted?
They didn't really say much about that.
The computer, the data on the computer on the hard drive was encrypted.
Yeah.
So
apparently
just
taking
trying
the
to-
hard drive out of the computer somehow
Makes
solves
it
that
unencrypted.
problem?
So
it's a
I mean, I know
lock.
that the encryption is a wire going across the computer case.
Hang on, we'll just get around it with USB.
No, it's all right. You just got to open up a terminal and type in hack. That'll work.
Guest hack.
Well, sudo hack.
There was this point at which they're trying.
No, hold on. After they pulled the hard drive, what did they do? Did they put it into a different computer and then just?
Well, it was part of the
everything-
long-running story. I don't even think they got to it in that episode.
Oh.
But like, there was a lot of dumb going on in the first episode. There was they were trying to track this guy down, so they used a bunch of closed-circuit television cameras from around the country to see where he might be, and they find him in San Francisco or something. And MacGyver's boss, you know, she says that, I can see his watch. According to his watch, he must be somewhere on the West Coast. There's a 9-hour difference, and it was so like.
If you have a picture of him and you know where the camera was, then you know where he was.
You know that they're hacking these cameras, but somehow they don't know where they are. But that's not the
What?
dumbest part. The dumbest part is that she.
No, hold on. That's not how. What do you?
It's how it works in MacGyver land. Okay, that's.
Do they know what?
Listen,
They
that
realize
camera
that-
was super
that-
encrypted, so they didn't know exactly where they were hacking. They just knew that they were hacking.
So they just smash the camera and take the CCD out of the.
But it's even worse than that because they're a U.S. intelligence agency, so they probably actually had direct access to those cameras, so they knew exactly which cameras they were using.
Wait, wow, that sounds really bad.
So, but she's like, oh, I can see his watch. According to his watch, it's 9 hours different, so he must be on the West Coast. And it was so like, it was so I'm explaining
Where were
this
they?
to the viewer. Sounding that she may as well.
But where were they that they had a 9-hour difference?
I don't know.
England?
But she may as well have
Australia?
She may as well have been looking at the camera when she said that.
Well, probably she kind of was.
No, she wasn't. She was talking to them while they were all hunched over a single laptop in the intelligence agency, hacking every camera on the planet.
I've never seen this kind of facial recognition software before.
Yeah, it fits on a Chromebook.
Oh, amazing. So the main characters, we don't know where the main characters are.
I think we do. I just wasn't paying attention. But they're definitely 9 hours removed from the West Coast. We know that for sure.
But that doesn't. But then they're on a different continent.
Wait a minute. You're right.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I might have had it wrong. They might have been looking at his watch, and his watch said 9 o'clock, and they were accounting for the time difference, not the hour difference.
Oh, okay. That makes a little more
All right,
sense.
that one's on me. I'll give them that one. Doesn't matter.
Okay,
it's not
fair
going to help
enough.
them.
I was like, what are they doing in Afghanistan?
I'm just scrolling through the list here, seeing what else went wrong with this show. It's just the original MacGyver he solved problems as he went along using his intuition and knowledge. This MacGyver just puts together a team of people that can cover him when the stupid things that he's doing don't work and he needs backup.
Uh-huh. Well, I mean, part of the reason that MacGyver needed to come up with these solutions was because he didn't want to just shoot people.
And he also didn't want to involve any other people if he could help it.
Well, we can give him that if they have a team, but like, if MacGyver goes from, in order to avoid unnecessary casualties, I'm going to do all of this stuff, using off-the-shelf components in a clever way. We go from that to, I'm going to do something in a Rube Goldberg method, and while I'm piecing this nonsense together, I'm going to have a man shoot people for me. Those are two very different.
They actually show that happening in a scene early on in the episode.
No, I mean, I get it. I believe you, but like, it's just like, that's a seismic shift. That's a very large. That's night and day, right? Like, those are two totally different things.
Welcome to modern American television.
Hooray!
Yay. Where the questions don't matter and the points are irrelevant. I think that's how that went.
So, something like that.
Know.
I think you've got it wrong, but that's all right.
It doesn't matter because that was the Americanized version of that show anyway.
Well, no, they said the same thing in the American and English versions.
I don't think they did.
Yeah, they did.
No, I don't think they ever mentioned the points not mattering in the original. I think that was a Drew Carey thing. Although to Drew Carey's credit, the new show was just as good as the old one.
Well, they had most of the same people.
They didn't try to change the format much either. I'm
pretty sure that they said the points don't matter a lot in the original.
No, I don't think they ever did. I watched it religiously, and I specifically recall watching it and thinking, oh, they added a little tagline for the show.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I don't remember. I haven't seen that show in a long time.
But anyway, back to bad shows.
Bad shows.
There was a scene in the first episode where MacGyver's chasing someone, and they pull a gun on him, so he has to turn around and run away. He runs around one corner into a dead end, and the guy comes running after him and stops and points the gun at him and says, I guess this is the end of your silly game of hide-and-seek, MacGyver.
This was in the new show.
He ran around one corner, yes. It's like, oh god, he's got a gun. I'm just going to duck behind this. Well now, playing a game of cat and mouse, are we?
This elaborate game of cat and mouse has finally come to an end.
This elaborate 2-second game of cat and mouse.
It's not actually cat and mouse if it's just peekaboo. That sounds horrible.
I think I got up and made a cup of coffee. After that
one. It makes me want to like greet people at work with like unnecessarily elaborate statements that refer to things that never happened. It's like
there was another great tech moment in the show where someone was like the super tech geek that they found for their team. Basically said, they're using Tor. There's nothing your tech analyst, can do about this. So make of that what you will.
It depends.
Yeah, but it depends a lot, and way too much for this show.
I mean...
You know I'm right.
I mean, using a Tor browser, using an onion router can do certain things to obscure your movements on the internet, but there have already been cases where the government managed to piece things together based on ancillary evidence pieces, and even basically tracing all the bits back to there were people that were arrested for things that they did on a Tor browser.
And they weren't really trying to track these people through through the internet much. I mean, they knew that they were close. They just were trying to use their digital signature to figure out how close and what direction.
Well, that's not how the Tor browser anonymizes you at all. They might as well have said he's behind 7 proxies. I mean, if you can count the proxies, then that means that you know the original IP address.
I got to admit, though, they nail intelligence operations in this show. Everyone's like in a constant panic with tons of information, but no one capable of using it.
That's awesome.
And then at one point, the Spec Ops dude is trying to remind MacGyver to quit bickering with the enemy because San Francisco is about to be wiped off the map. Because the original MacGyver had priorities. He'd try and kind of like he'd get angry at people if they were getting in the way of him stopping bombs from going off.
Well, I mean, banter is far more important these days.
I kept wondering while I was watching this if he was if there was going to be a scene where he gets a gun in his hand and questions whether or not he should shoot some bad guy. It didn't quite happen, but he did get a gun in his hands at one point, and he used it to club a guy over the head.
Well, that sounds like something MacGyver would do.
He's been known to do it. He's done. I mean, one of the funniest things that ever happened in the original MacGyver was he had an assault rifle, and there were all these people shooting at him, and he was taking cover.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to shoot anyone because the original MacGyver doesn't shoot people. He doesn't like guns.
Yeah.
So he took a ladder, ran a fire hose through it, used the gun to open the valve on the fire hydrant, and lifted the ladder up so that the water pressure would shoot out from the top of this ladder. Which, by the way he was holding it, it wouldn't have held up. It should have tipped over and fallen on top of him, but whatever. But anyway, he hits this guy with a water cannon, and the guy falls off a roof into a river, possibly to die. We don't know. We never know if the guy dies or not. But basically, he used the gun to make a gun.
Well, it's I mean, I think that I could see that, right?
He's not
I don't want to
actually
kill
someone, but it's just,
I don't want to actually kill this person. I just want to make it so that they're not here anymore.
Yeah.
That's not terribly unreasonable.
That's not the point. I mean, the point is that he did silly stuff in the original MacGyver a lot.
Yeah.
But this is just like they're going to tease it. I know they're going to tease it in this show where he's going to be point blank to someone's head with a gun at some point, and there's going to be like a flashback or something because every show has flashbacks now. They did 3 in this episode.
3 flashbacks?
Yeah.
In the first
that's
episode?
Tame. Have you seen modern television? Most television shows these days, the main character, or even other characters, have about 8 flashbacks per episode.
It's a constant tripping.
Yeah.
I have not seen such a thing.
Because they don't have enough between having separate stories for each episode and a long-running background story. They also have to have a third set of stories that takes place in the past that you have to know about, too.
Sure.
Because they can't just write any of that in and have someone make a comment that'll fill you in on some of what's going on. They have to...
Or they can't just be subtle about it.
Yeah, there's no subtlety at all. Especially... another thing, probably my favorite thing that happened in this episode of MacGyver was when he took a paperclip and unfolded it in his hands because he was making a lockpick, or he was making he was going to, the handcuff thing. And as he was unfolding it, the word paperclip unfolds with it.
Oh, God. Oh, God, it's one of those where they try to do quote-unquote clever things with the CG words.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes me sad. It really is like Blue's Clues.
It really is. The show's bad by modern standards.
Yeah, that sounds really, really awful.
And at the end of the episode, when they were all talking about something, they finished talking about how they're going to... How the government thought that there was a problem with them causing this big panic in San Francisco, so they dissolved the DSX. And their boss was like, but don't worry, we're just picking up operations and moving them at horrible, horrible expense to the taxpayer to another building, and we'll be the Phoenix Foundation from now on. So and
everyone laughed. Laugh track.
So,
and then credits.
Typical U.S. intelligence. We're just going to dissolve this agency and, the one we built up with billions of taxpayer dollars, and we're just going to open down the street as another agency, building it up again with billions of taxpayer dollars.
Well, they're nothing if not efficient.
Yeah, so they got the U.S. intelligence agency thing down pat.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like a fairly accurate description.
Oh, no, I take it back. The paperclip thing was not the best. Very end of the episode, they caught the woman that everyone thought was dead. And for the 4th time in that episode...
Wait. Hold on, stop. Woman character, important to MacGyver character.
Yes.
Dies in first episode.
Yes.
Then they spoil the fact that she didn't actually die also in the first episode?
Yes.
But you're saying that also they intend to have long-running plot threads that get teased every episode.
Well, apparently they're still chasing her, and she's the one that hired Murdoch in the episode where he first showed up, in which I'm not even going to get into that episode because Jesus Christ.
No, but my point is that her being dead and there being a shadowy figure pulling the strings behind, in the shadows.
Again, you're looking for subtlety. And you're not going to find it.
I suppose I am.
It's not hidden anywhere.
Wow.
But at the end of this episode, she's in the back of a car being taken to prison or something.
Wait. Hold on. She's discovered by the characters, not by the viewer. Is that right?
Yes, they catch her, and they're hauling her away. There's 2 guys driving her away in a car, and she's handcuffed in the back of this car.
Hold on. I'm just trying to gather the straws of this narrative haystack. Like, okay, first episode of show, MacGyver has team of people. One of his team members, who is also someone that he used to be romantically involved with, dies. In that same episode, a 45-minute chunk of television, we also discover that he does other things, and then after that, he also discovers that she's not actually dead, and that she's also like the head of the evil organization. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I can't believe that. How many episodes are in a season?
A lot, actually. I couldn't believe that there was a second season, but there was. The first season has like 17 or 18 episodes. The second has the same, and they're probably doing a third season.
That's terrible.
Yeah, you can be total crap and run for 7 seasons.
Just on nostalgia alone, I guess.
And fumes, really. I don't think these shows actually make money. I think they just keep making them and just, whatever.
Pray something sticks.
Yeah. But, they catch this woman at the end of the episode, and they're hauling her away. And for the 4th time, someone picks a pair of handcuffs, and she escapes. Now, they go under a bridge.
Wait, who picks a pair of handcuffs?
She does. She's wearing handcuffs.
Okay.
And she picks the lock. They go under a bridge. It gets dark.
Wait,
you hear No. Don't even say it. I know you're already thinking it. I'm getting there.
Okay.
You hear the sound of a door opening, and when they come out from under the bridge, the 2 guys that are in the car look back. One of them looks down and sees the handcuffs on the floor of the car. And the other guy doesn't slow down. He doesn't stop. He just keeps driving while they just stare at this, and they're just confused at this woman having gotten away. But why did they have doors that open? She wasn't tied to the seat or anything. She just had handcuffs on. She could have gotten out of that car at any time.
That's not what I was going for, actually.
Oh, you found something worse? Shoot it.
Oh, yeah. So, at the start of the episode, we have MacGyver showing her how to pick the lock on handcuffs, right? It's common knowledge of all the characters that she knows how to pick the lock on handcuffs, right?
Yes.
So their entire plan for capturing her is to put her in handcuffs and drive her to a place. Is that correct?
In a rickety old car.
With doors that don't lock.
With doors that don't lock.
But the point that gets me is the handcuffs. It's like this
MacGyver is not smart.
It's like hold on. It's like trying to. What am I trying to say here? It's like putting Houdini in a straitjacket and saying, "Well, that's taken care of."
Do you remember the explosion in MacGyver during the credits, where it just says MacGyver and there's the big explosion behind it?
Yes, I remember that. Somewhat vaguely.
They tack that on in the ending credits, where they play that 18-second song again. But they tack it on after the song has ended.
Stop. The opening and ending themes are the same 18 seconds of music? Yeah. Including the 3 seconds of the original MacGyver theme?
I think. I don't remember if that was in it or not at the end. I think it was.
That's horrible.
But they do the explosion thing after the music has ended, so there's no sound. There's no sound of an explosion or anything. It's it's just
a scare gif.
Yeah.
Jump scare. MacGyver logo. Wow, this sounds like a mess. Like a genuine mess. Like not just being humorously hyperbolic, but like an actual mess.
The original MacGyver was, inspired by the idea of solving problems, the Cold War, and Doctor Who. The new MacGyver is inspired by Fred Durst, cocaine, and Pringles.
Wait, what flavor of Pringles?
It's sour cream and onion, definitely.
Oh, jackasses! Go fully loaded baked potato or go home.
The moral of the story, I guess, is don't watch the new MacGyver.
The moral of the story is don't watch American television, I think.
That too. There's really nothing good. Every time I try to watch a show, I end up saying, this show sucks, I'm going to go watch something from the 80s, like Columbo or, what have you. Or I'll watch Nero Wolfe again.
Yeah. 2 seasons, you say, with a third one on the way, probably?
2 seasons. There are 2 seasons.
That's horrifying.
I have to go see Justice League after this. I'm not ready.
Oh, I feel sorry for you.
I'm not going to be able to take it. I can't watch this horrible rendition of MacGyver and then go sit through Justice League just so me and you can talk about something else that makes me want to gut myself. Like an anchovy.
Have you... I don't know that anyone actually guts anchovies.
I
They're
do.
too small.
Doing it right now.
Wow. That's diligence for you.
That's MacGyver hatred.
Well, I suppose.
But I refuse to accept this as MacGyver. MacGyver already had a spiritual successor. It was called Burn Notice. It ran for 7 seasons, and most of it was
good.
Really good.
Yeah.
There's no denying that it was inspired directly by MacGyver.
Well, yeah, clearly. And it had Bruce Campbell.
Yes, it had Bruce Campbell and was inspired by MacGyver. There's no formula more perfect.
Burn Notice was excellent.
It really was.
There were occasional episodes where it's like, okay, whatever. But, like, in general, that show was really, really good.
I never saw the final season of it.
Me neither.
I should really get back and do that. But it was MacGyver. It wasn't MacGyver in name. It wasn't MacGyver in character.
It was a little more violent, a little more spy than MacGyver.
Yeah, it was much more. I don't know if it was more spy. It was more like.
I don't know. I think I saw an episode of MacGyver where he was volunteering as a bigger brother at Big Brothers Big Sisters or something.
He basically always had something on the side where there was some little kid or something that he was helping out.
I know, but that's my point.
Yeah,
is that
this was more like Burn Notice is more Cloak and Dagger than MacGyver was.
Yeah. Yes, that's what I mean. Yeah, that's a more accurate rendition of what I was trying to say.
And they did a few different things too. Like it was very rare that MacGyver was donning a whole new personality to do what he was doing. I mean, he was always undercover, but there were only a few times where he did things like one time he pretended to be a mental patient in a mental institute. He wasn't doing deep cover very often. But in Burn Notice, it was like every episode he was taking on a false identity.
Right.
I really don't know if I have much more to say. I mean, the show was empty of any real content.
Devoid of goodness.
Yeah. There's nothing good from start to finish that happened in the show. No good jokes, no good dialogue, nothing intelligent.
You were
done.
telling me yesterday about a smoke alarm.
That was in the Murdoch episode. That was in the one I don't want to talk about. But he basically used a bunch of chemicals to make smoke to set off a smoke alarm that they were standing right next to at a party. He could have easily found someone that had a lighter and set off this smoke alarm. And as you pointed out, most smoke alarms you can set them off by hand if they're right there.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll assume it's an industrial smoke alarm, so maybe you can't do that. But even so, it's like they were in a storage room. There might have been matches in there for all we know.
Or I mean, what the question because all that setting off the smoke alarm would do is draw attention to the smoke alarm, which is where MacGyver is. I assume that's not what he wanted to do.
Yeah, well, I mean, they kind of throw away the whole idea of smoke alarms in these shows, where it's like, if you set off one smoke alarm, the whole building decides it's time to evacuate, whereas they're just in a storage closet. so like any casual smoke anywhere is apparently going to make everyone run out of the building screaming.
Well, no, but I thought they were at a party.
Well, they were, but they snuck off to a closet to mix these chemicals to distract everyone.
No, but a party being held where?
Some building, nondescript.
Do a lot of parties happen in nondescript buildings?
No, it was a fancy building. I mean, there was a winding staircase, I think.
So it was like a hotel?
Maybe.
So but
I know, right?
And what was the goal of causing the fire alarms to go? Why couldn't they just pull? If they were in a hotel, why didn't they just pull a fire alarm?
I don't know. I mean,
couldn't you just do that?
They probably should have. I think they didn't want anyone to see them do it.
Yes, you go to a hallway where no one is, and you pull the fire alarm. That's how jackasses do that.
They're not good spies.
It just doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, we need this fire alarm to go off in this hotel so that everyone evacuates the building. Which means that it's a networked fire alarm. Which means that
she pulled the hard drive out of the computer and said, "We've broken encryption." I don't know what else you want from me here.
We'll go around it. Because if encryption worked that way, no one would encrypt anything.
How about I just give you the information instead of you destroying my computer? Will that work? Here, you can have it.
Damn. And I had to put that hard drive in my computer made of Fabergé eggs.
The thing is, that scene wasn't about showing them showing you how smart they were. It was about showing you how edgy the tech and analyst girl was.
Oh. So they sacrifice narrative goodness for cheap character blips.
Yeah, so that she's the kind of crazy person that'll take a hammer and smash a computer open to get the hard drive out, possibly damaging the hard drive in the process.
Well, if you just break a computer, sometimes those hard drive controllers will just write garbage to your hard drive.
There's that too. But it's important to know that she's the kind of person who doesn't have the calm, collected cool to just say, "Hey, if you just take the hard drive out, we might be able to do this."
Because,
even though it wouldn't work, I kind of want that kind of person on my team.
I've seen people do, not hacking necessarily, but coding of very low level scripts and stuff like that for stuff at work, and it's not the kind of job that you can do by just wanting to smash things. It actually requires you to sit still.
This thing called finesse. You don't have it.
And type rapidly, but specifically, and you have to know a lot of different key combinations to do things quickly, things like that.
So she's sitting at her desk getting more and more frustrated for no reason as she's typing, and she picks up her coffee mug and just throws it at a secretary.
Nice. All right, well, it sounds like we've killed any good... And it sounds like we've dealt with this show.
It killed me.
Yeah.
I will never forgive this.
And you'll make them regret it with this piece of paperclip, a stick of bubble gum, and
hang on, let me write all that down so I know exactly what you're talking about.
What?
Was that clip? Paper clip?
No, I said paper stud finder.
Okay, got it. What's a stud finder?
It has a coil in it.
A coil that can be used for things.
Hydraulics.
Probably. Hydraulic things with electronics.
Hydraulics. Well,
the original MacGyver would just
good.
take an iron core and some wire and start wrapping it and explain to you that he's making an electromagnet. That's all he had to do.
Yeah, well, it's pretty easy.